and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you. Sorry we're a few minutes late, but you'll never know it on the replay. But anyway, that's up with my co-host, Hawkeye Two Feathers, David Null. Thank you for being here with me tonight.
Yeah. I had to wake him up. He was sleeping somewhere. No, I'm kidding. And we, as always, we welcome you with the love and the respect of the infinite creator. And we continue to pray that each and every one of you will keep learning how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from our creator. And with that, tonight we're going to delve into some more of the Hopi. And I'm kind of doing a little thing over Robert here, but I wanted to tell you what the story was. That's why I was saying this. And it's about the herding Wuti and the sun. And so Robert's going to fill you in on a bunch of other stuff. Hi, everybody. Miss Nina, everybody.
We have jumped to the Hopi and the Navajo and the Pueblo Indians. And why is this? For the big thing is on Sunday night, join me and Nina on her channel, Nina the Mystic Truther, for we are going to dive deep into mystery of the Hopi prophecy. Oh my gosh, the more I dig into this, the deeper it gets. You know, the steps and the things that have come true already, and the things they've been talking about. Oh boy, you know, it's going to be a good show. There is so much Hopi prophecy there. Little do we know, and where did it come from? And when did it get popular? Oh, man. Well, I think it kind of got popular in the 1800s, I'm finding out. Because basically, you know, it just wasn't talked about mostly. So, but we want to know mostly where, well, you know, the big question is where did these people come from? You know, where did these people come from? They didn't just, you know, the myths and tales tell how they came and crawled out of the ground, and they, you know, and they were given corn, which is sacred to them, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But they came from the Anasazi people, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit tonight about. And you're going to say, the Anasazi, oh my, you know, who the heck are those people? Well, here we go. And the Anasazi were those cave people we always see in you know, with the big caves. They built their houses under cliff sides. And we can't figure out where they went or who they became or why they abandoned their big cities. As you can see, these are big caves. I've never been out there to see this. Most of this is in Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, the Four Corners areas. As you can see, they're cliff dwellings. Anywhere there was a cave or something, they built, you know, themselves a little wooden ladder, and you could live in those caves. I guess it made a great little place to go. As you can see here, you know, look at just amazing what this must have looked like back in the days gone by. Now the descendants of these people. Well, yeah, I mean, think about all the rock work that they had to do to carve all this stuff up, you know?
And carry it.
Yes. Joe says, well, they might have been, you know, descendants of the lost tribes of the Hebrews. Yeah, we don't know, but you never know. We can't make heads or tails of it. But we do know that these Anasazi people, their legends and traditions have seeped down into the Navajo, the Hopi, and the Pueblo Indians. And as you can see, they dress up a little funnier and they look a little bit different in their garb than the traditional Plains Indians or the Indians from out east. Here's one of their cavern cave dealies. Quite the cliff dwelling. I would love to go see one of these. Especially like a city-like thing like this. I mean, can you imagine all the work it took to lift all those stones up there, the building, the construction to make them last thousands of years under a cliffside? And then the point is yeah, you were safe from your attackers. But then again, what are you hiding for? What's the point? If your attackers come, sure, they can't get you. They'll just wait outside until you starve to death. At least that's what I would do. I'd camp out front. Wouldn't you?
That's what happened a lot of the times too.
Well, you would think that. Then why would you keep that up? See, that's my big question. It didn't work, some of the time, and I don't know. But
it'd be hard for somebody to sneak up on you. You know what I mean?
Well,
you could wake up in the morning and go stretch and go, holy crap, there's a bunch of people down there. But, they couldn't just sneak into your camp at night and gut you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That'd be a big plus.
So, these are the guys that drew all the pictures on the rocks. Now, were they so primitive? And why were they drawing what they were drawing? Most natives draw things that they've seen, I imagine. What's your theory on that? Do you believe that these people were drawing what they saw, or were they making it up like cartoon characters?
Say that again.
I said, do you think these people were drawing things that they seen, or do you think they were drawing cartoon characters?
I think the cartoon characters made because they weren't very good artists, But I can't say that these people didn't have an imagination. But they don't have imaginations like we do today with spaceships and boats across the ocean. And so whatever kind of thing that they had was passed down in a story. But, how much of an imagination did they have? So that's what I would like. Well, what did they think about? Well, if they saw something and then they could put it into a picture, and that told the story. But as far as just making something up, I just maybe 5%,
Yeah, I agree. The thing is there's a lot of contradicting stuff there, because obviously they're building these cities under cliffs. They knew what they were doing. They weren't stupid. They were very smart, very good engineers and builders. So I'm putting them, you look at them like that and you have to weigh the possibilities that these weren't just so primitive people that they, otherwise they'd just be living in grass huts, running around trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? But once you start introducing architecture, walls, several story houses. You can see this one's like 1, 2, 3 stories here. You gotta really build something sturdy in order to make it. You gotta haul a lot of rock. You gotta have people willing to do all this. But then they're saying, saying at the same time, oh, look, this is the people, they're just running around half naked, chiseling stuff in a rock because, they're just crappy, cavemen, kind of thing. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but let me add something
Just,
here about that. I don't think they would have
yes.
wasted their time going to all that trouble just to make up a story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
just to say, well, one day we saw something, and, blah, blah, blah. No. If they were going to chisel something into the wall, they were going to depict an event that's happened.
Yes. Exactly. And so, you get these kind of pictures, and and these aren't small. These are huge. These are like, 6 foot tall, maybe more, on top of rocks that you literally have to climb up the side of a cliffside, like Spider-Man or something. And where would they get this? Why would they put little antennas and horns on these creatures or people? And this is representing something. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but our minds wander nowadays, And that's where we're going with this. This is, we're these people, visitors from another planet. That's what we want to think. We're these, other natives or other species of human. We're these observers that came. There's all these stories of have you heard of the Star Children? That they would come and basically have a child with one of the natives, and at the age of between 5 and 7, these people would, the people from the stars would come and take that child, the Star Children. So it starts to make you question a lot more. I mean, every time you see a rock, they are literally building underneath it.
Yep.
But why? Is it protection? I think somebody said they took shelters on massive solar flaring. But if that was the case, how come our scientists haven't come up with a thing that, hey, there was massive solar flaring going on? Nina says,
it may not been able to. How would a quote a primitive native person describe a solar flare?
Yes.
I mean,
exactly.
The sun flashed. Okay. But some of the solar flares we get now, we only know they're there because of satellites. So I think they knew that the sun was, was toxic at times. But, I think that, we can look at some of the weather patterns and so forth over the years. And I think it was more about weather. I mean, shelter, yes, but not necessarily from solar flares, but yes, from the sun because it was hot and caves are much cooler. So I think they were just smart. But looking at that picture there, it almost looks like the mouth of something.
That's true. But these people wouldn't have seen it from this angle. They would have seen it from the ground.
I know. I wasn't talking. I know. I was just like, And
I mean, every nook and cranny they could.
Yeah, let me make up something else too. I've been to the place in Arkansas on the Buffalo National River, and it's you know, it's a big cliff, and it goes back under it. And when you're there and see it, there's something spiritual about it. So I'm wondering if the reason that they built there wasn't just for shade and all these other things, but that it was actually, to them, somehow it was spiritual. And I mean, you know, I live here on my place, but I walked all over these acres till I picked a spot to build the house, you know, so I can understand you like, wow, this spot feels really good
Yeah.
versus over there. So what's to say that there wasn't something highly spiritual that, how do you pass that down? Because it happened when they got there. It happened when they felt it. It happened and they said, come on, let's build this, you know, we're gonna build here. Just an idea.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing is, you know, I gotta wonder sometimes too, because you know they're building with rock and trees and stuff like that, and it seems like there's so many of them living out there that the climate may have been different. At least that's what I'm thinking. I mean, even you know, here's and maybe there was other critters living out there, like this, you know, a one-eyed people eater kind of monster thingy. You notice it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers, but then it's got these little it's just planets. Why does it have an eye? Why does it only have one eye? Looks like a human, but is it trying to represent something? Because and again, we have one of these little spiral.
It's not a single eye. It's looking at it from the side, because if you look close, you can see a little bit of a mouth, and far right there's a touch of an eye, like you're looking at it from a side profile.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, it's kind of sort of accurate in that they took a profile picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but then here's the thing: are these critters? Were these critters that they actually seen? That's why they built the caves. Were these, you know, critters running around trying to eat them? You know, chase them. I mean, like this thing here looks like a big snake with you know, a mouth on it, you know, or a bird with no wings, and it's just like a snake or something. You know what I'm saying? That could have been it now become extinct, or this thing here. Maybe there was a critter like this, but that became extinct. You know, and we wouldn't know if it didn't leave a skeleton behind. We would never know. Anyway, we're gonna move on. My computer's going a little bit slow tonight. Sorry, guys.
The snaky looking thing looks like a centipede to me. Especially
it could be maybe a giant one.
Could been.
Yes.
The other thing is too, and speaking of prehistoric animals and things, you know, there's been some discussion as to whether or not there were still mastodons here on North America 1,000 years ago, or, you know, 1,500 years ago. And so to the point of wild animals, there could have been some really big wild animals, you know, and
oh yeah,
and giant hands. Yep. Well, you know, they say that some of these you know, alien guys have got long spindly fingers, and so that could have been an exaggeration because they're short and squat, but their hands are big. So
yeah.
Was it?
And then of course, you know, on the rocks, you know, these people painted their hands all over the place. Their feet.
And how did they get up there to do it?
That's a good question. Very good question. Why would you climb to the top of a rock cliff and put your, handprint up there? Mark your territory? At least that's what we would do now. But look at, here's the sun. There's a squiggly line. Let's really get in there. And look at how they overlap this one here. See where the body is? And it kind of goes over the thing and it, keeps on going down the rock.
Under the rock, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, there's a whole story right there.
Yeah.
Whatever that rock is, they're telling a story.
Exactly. There's more to this than.
And see now, right there in the middle of that, on the left is like a regular handprint, and on the right, it's more of somebody else's handprint because the fingers are longer, and they left it darker. Where the one on the left, they scratched out entirely, but the one on the right is done with shadowing.
Yep.
So it's like it almost to me it would represent two different cultures.
That could be.
And the fact that it's beside the sun. I mean, I'm just speculating here, but it's like, oh, there's two different peoples under the sun, or anyway.
That could be, definitely. Definitely could be. How do we know there wasn't several types of humans?
That the story, what I'm trying to say is that the story could be very simple if you understood what the what they mean.
Yeah. It's too bad we can't take a time travel trip and go back and see what they were actually doing. Here's a whole clan full of those people. Really makes you wonder. I mean, it's just simple handprints to us, but they did it for a reason. You know what I'm saying? They were doing this for a reason. Anyway.
They were signing their name.
Yeah. And of course, here's, signing their name. Yeah. That's sad to hear. Elderberry says graffiti from kids in Vegas have ruined the sights in Nevada like that. Yeah. It's sad. That's what happens in history.
That's why you have to have a driver's license to buy a can of spray paint.
Yeah, exactly. But, they were doing this in the 1800s too. The travelers going through would sign their names and, say, carve their stuff in rocks and, and who knows? But anyway.
And they would write their name in charcoal.
Exactly. And here we got something really cool. What did these people eat? Same thing we're eating right now. And these are Anastasi beans. I didn't know these things existed. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Beans of the Native Americans. Did you know that?
No.
Didn't know that, did you? I thought these were called Jacob Sheep's beans, but apparently they're known as Anastasi beans. So I ordered up some. When they come, I'm going to cook them up, and then I'll let you all know what they taste like. Of course, we have the Indian corn. Now, there's stories about the Indian corn. They got the white corn. They use it. You use different corn for different things, different culture, different deals. Like they'll eat the white corn, or the blue corn. They eat the blue corn. They feed the white corn to the animals, and the red corn goes to, whatever. So you don't end up with white bread or You end up with white instead of red bread. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, so they sort all of these eventually after they grow them, because as you know, they don't all grow to, they grow differently. And of course, they use these beans to make a lot of stews and cornbread and, things like that. So that's my next big adventure, is to get in there, make recipes of all that, and cook up some Anasazi Hopi food. And how do we know they're eating this stuff? Because they're eating it today. Believe it or not, they would have been eating beans, squash, corn. Oh, the three sisters. Isn't that so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as you can see, these gourds or pumpkins or squash of some sort, they don't look like your squash that you would find, downtown at the grocery store. Maybe these will, but nowadays people don't eat these kinds of beans. They're eating green beans or baked beans or northern beans or whatever. And the squash and pumpkins, nobody's eating that stuff. We're eating potatoes. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Our diets today consist of, yeah, I am.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who eat squash. More so.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
squash. But in the wintertime, they ain't nothing like a good acorn squash, toasted in the oven with some, a little brown sugar and cinnamon on it. But it's hard to eat a gourd. But the other also about the corn, the different colors are also different flavors, and also they represent, the red corn might keep better, and the white corn you eat right away, or the yellow corn. So the different kinds of corn represented different characteristics of the corn, and that also helped with how they used it. If they used a particular type of ceremony and they used red corn, then they grew the red corn for ceremonies. You know what I mean? But anyway, so having the different colors and everything, because Creator and helpers along made sure that the different corns and the different squash and everything, because each one of them had a little bit different something about them. We just don't know what those are at the moment. So I'm sorry I interrupted, but
no. See, here's my squash. I'm gonna eat this this weekend. So there you go, acorn squash.
Yep.
Yeah, I eat squash too, but I mean, it's not like I don't think it's I don't think people eat it as much as they used to, probably. You know what I mean? Because most of our stuff is just corn.
I don't know, because there are a lot of people who eat zucchini, and it's a squash.
In the summertime, I do. Let's see. And it lasts a long time. My zucchini just went bad. I threw a bunch of it out. So anyway. And spaghetti, Skyboy says spaghetti squash. That lasts a long time. So let's go through this. Food. This is what they were eating. And apparently in 1200 BC, Anasazi killed small animals and harvested wild plants for food. In the basket maker period, maize is corn, squash were added. In 580, beans were added. In 1300, they still ate corn, squash, beans, deer, rabbits, prairie dogs, wild plants, but added the pinyon pine, roasted or ground, ripe fruit from a banana yucca, and dried the red fruit from the cactus. Okay, they also sun-dried their vegetables. Of course, you got a lot of sun. Of course, you're going to dry them in the sun and make them stay a lot longer. Many items were stone ground, of course. You know, if you're going to grow corn, you gotta grind it up to make anything out of it. Using grindstones called meditate and mano. Seeds were parched in colds and ground into meals. Pine nuts were ground into paste. Corn was ground into cornmeal. Food was stored in large pits, sealed baskets, protecting it from insects and animals and moisture. There you go. They ate beans, legumes, corn, peanuts. This is one that got me. Peanuts and chickpeas. Now, we know peanuts is not a nut. It's actually a legume.
Yep.
But I did not know they had peanuts. How interesting is that? Now, you got a lot of peanuts over in your area. So, you know, did the peanut come from this area and go to that area, or did it come from that area and go to this area? Interesting.
I was surprised 50 years ago, actually, 50 years ago ish, that many places in Georgia and Alabama and the panhandle of Florida, there were places where there were wild peanuts. I mean, it's just like, oh, that looks like a peanut plant. Son of a gun, it is. You know, out in the woods and a little pasture. I mean, you know, yeah. And so it was more prevalent years ago, but as late as, I don't know, 5 years ago when I could still walk, you know, I remember coming up upon a peanut plant and going, wow, that really is a real peanut plant. And it was where there weren't any other peanuts around, you know. Now, it could have been a bird had one, dropped it, but that's the only reason or the only way it could have happened. However, but, you know, 50 years ago, I remember, you know, we were setting up on the field with the carnival, and I was like, what's all this stuff over here? And the guy says, well, you ain't from around here, are you? That's wild peanuts, you know. And I was like, what? I didn't know peanuts grew in the ground, you know, back then. And so I was, you know, shook awake, and he pulled some up and he goes, here, this is the way they grow, you dumbass. You know, he wasn't very nice to me. I was from Tampa, Florida, and I was in Alabama, you know. But anyway.
Yep.
So there were a lot of things. I mean,
what kind of...
Go ahead.
Well, yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm just saying is that, you know, I didn't know that these people had peanuts too. I mean, I always assumed that peanuts grew in Georgia and, you know, North Carolina and Virginia and areas like that, you know, because they're warmer, maybe even Florida. So, but hey, I'm learning. Okay, so what kind of clothing did they wear? Now, these Anasazi people are wearing the same kind of clothing, basically, as the Navajo, the Pueblo, the Hopi. And they wove blankets, shirts, and robes, aprons, and kilts, breechcloths, socks, belts, using various plant fibers, animal hair, and human hair. Shoes, sandals, moccasins, and possibly snowshoes. Jewelry defined social status. Necklaces, earrings, bracelets, armbands, hair combs, and pins were made from wood, bone, shell, coral, coal, and stone beads. Okay, so like I said, I am going to get those beans. I got them ordered already on Amazon, and hopefully it'll be here in a week or so, and I'll be making some Anasazi beans. So what's so special about these beans? These heirloom beans are most commonly used in Latin, Mexican, and Southwestern cuisine. They turn pink when cooked and are used in refried beans, chilies, and hearty stews, packed with protein and fiber and healthy starch. Like all beans, Anasazis are also rich in potassium and iron and folate. Iron, something everybody needs. So there you go. Kind of cool, is it not?
Don't you folate on me.
No, I'm going to exfoliate. Um,
Well, clean up when you're done.
I'm trying to get. Nope, I don't want that one. Come on, this one. Yeah. Anyway, let's start out here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Ooh, that's not the one I want. That was from the other day's show. Okay, let's start out with this one because we were talking about corn, and so we are going to continue talking about the corn. As you know, they got the red corn, and why is not? It did not share on me. Where's that? Share screen. Something's busy with the computer today. There we go. It's being a little stubborn. And you can see the red corn. Like I said, I think we watched this one last week and had to talk about it. The Hopi people are known as the peaceful ones. Now, they really didn't. They didn't. Oh, yeah, I got to show it bigger because you guys won't be able to see it. They were known as the peaceful ones, having a rich history tracking back thousands of years. Their ancestral roots linked to the ancestral plebeians who inhabited the Four Corners region. They are one of the oldest continually inhabited cultures in the Southwest, with villages located on mesas, particularly the three big mesas in their reservation in northern Arizona, and are known for their unique agriculture practices, cultural traditions, and peaceful nature. Key aspects of the Hopi. What separates these people from the other ones, the Navajo and stuff? The Hopi are believed to be the descendants of the ancestral Pueblo people, the Histomi, who constructed large apartment houses, complex and advanced culture that span the present-day Four Corners area, which is they're talking about the Anasazi. So, they instead of living in a cliff cave somewhere, they built the same house only out in the open, and they're still inhabiting them today. The Hopi trace their history back in Arizona for more than 2,000 years. Who can say that they trace their history back for 2,000 years, unless you're talking about some religion or something? Suggesting a migration from the south up from what is now South America and Central America and Mexico. But that doesn't explain how their language differs from all the other languages. Does it not? That's what I can't figure out. Hopi villages are located atop of mesas in northern Arizona, with the Hopi originally settling near the foot of the mesas, but later moving to the mesa tops for protection from the Utes, Apaches, and the Spanish, which offered real good protection because they really, they were farmers. I've been reading out of one of the Time Life books, and, it's just like the Anasazi, they hunted, little animals. They raised corn, and they had a female deity, and Yaneko, whose heart is corn, and who waits beside a portal. Now, this is kind of a tricky one. Waits beside a portal through which all mortals must pass when their lives end. So the corn lady is a giver of life and the giver of taking it away. It's just kind of funny. We also have they have more corn figures. They have corn dances. Things like that. Okay, we're just going to go on with this. Sorry about that. I get on tangents. The Hopi and the Navajo tribes have a long history of conflict over lands, which led to the Navajo-Hopi settlement in 1974. It's amazing how that, 1974, you and me were alive when they've just finally settled all this stuff. Can you believe that? We think, oh, that was hundreds of years. No, that's just recently. Which split the land across the tribes, forcing relocation for those on the wrong side of the Patriot line. Again, remember that the natives, all the Indians throughout the country, didn't believe you could own land. It was just it was just land. And then, white man came along and said, you need to draw lines, figure out where you belong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
And what's
anyway,
interesting about the line in the sand, as far as, the one tribe to another, they knew almost to the foot where that line was. And without a map and without GPS, you could be out there in the desert and they go, see that right there? What do you mean? That's the line. Don't come over here. I know that sounds silly, but they really knew where stuff was.
They did. I mean, they were better pathfinders, better, at all these things than we will ever be, because they raised their kids up from day one, teaching them this, how to hunt, how to, find your way, what direction is, how to look at the stars, how to, make an arrowhead, so simple things like that. Whereas we have no clue how to do that today. Most of us here even wouldn't know how to. Most of us, I tell you what, don't know how to grow plants. We would plant what seeds we have, and in about 5 years, we would have no idea how to save those seeds. And most of us would be like, well, I planted all my seeds and they're all gone. Oh, crap. I didn't have heirloom seeds. I had all these hybrid seeds, and now I got nothing. Or how to store food, how to preserve it in any way, shape, or form.
And how to store seeds.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or what seeds to store. Or like Scotty Boy says, so he says they'll have a green thumb. Yeah, you could have a green thumb. Today, everybody has a green thumb. They just go to the store and use their thumb to whip out the green backs. Or the arrowheads. Most people wouldn't have an idea how to make a bow or an arrow or start a fire without flint and steel or a lighter. You see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
So anyway, these cultures.
Can I interject something?
Yeah, go ahead.
But also, there was a feeling to it. It was like where to build their house. Well, there's a cliff. That's convenient. It's way up there on the side of that hill, but I really want to build it up there. There's just a feeling about it. And also with planting, there are some tribes who would only allow the women to plant the seeds. Now, the men could work and till and everything, but the women, because they gave birth, the women were the ones who actually planted the seeds. It was like, you men, don't touch the seeds now. Because us women got to plant it. And it was spiritual. It wasn't, people say, oh, they made them women do all that stuff. No. It was the woman's responsibility because of how they felt. It was the woman as the child giver and gave birth. Wouldn't you want her to be the one to plant the seeds? Well, some would say, well, the men are the ones that got seeds. Yeah, but the women are the ones that give birth. Don't you want those seeds to give birth? Well, yeah, okay. There you go.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Okay, we're going to go over traditions. Hopi culture emphasizes peace, goodwill, and reverence for the land and its resources. I think that these people were like they were attacked by their enemies and stuff, but they were more of a peaceful people, and I think they just traded a lot with, the other Indians, because what advantage would they have, for the Apache basically surrounded all of them, to come along and kill them off and take their stuff. And then what? No more corn, no more, raising crops. It's like, hey, we get all our corn from them, but let's just go raid them and take it, kill them all off. Well, now what? Nobody to raise the corn because the Apaches didn't do that. They were more of a, take it kind of people. And
Yeah,
of
but
course, there's the Kachina cult.
Back then, they knew more about the planting until the white man started, well, and the Spanish too, started wiping them out.
Yeah.
They weren't always strictly takers, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, I agree.
Plant something, but as it got closer to the white man coming, then they became more warring and more thievery.
Yes. Well, I agree. The more they moved around, became nomadic, the more you don't have things.
Right.
Okay, let's go to the Kachina cult. The Kachina cult is an important aspect of Hopi culture. The Kachina dolls representing gods, spirits, and ancestors. The Hopi tribe is a sovereign nation, meaning that they are independent, governed by the Hopi people, and they maintain governmental relations with the U.S. federal government, just like all Indian nations with a reservation. They're an independent nation inside a nation. So if you people are out there, you know that if you're on a reservation, you're basically inside another country inside this country.
Yep.
So there you go. Isn't that kind of cool? But a lot of people don't know that. And here you go with this is a more modern Pueblo, but it's it's one of those places they build. It's all out of stone. It's got some logs to support it. Several stories. A building like this will last for hundreds of years. And that's why they're living in them today. There's some out there that are 400 or 500 years old. They're still living in them. As you can see, there's no elevators. You climb up to the next level with a ladder. You will be in shape. Small windows, probably for a little bit of ventilation. They probably angled the building at a certain way to catch the breeze. Yeah. Big Dad Standing Tall says fires. Yeah. No need to worry about fires burning your place down either. It's all made out of rock. I'm sure they didn't call the fire department and say, get the fire trucks out here. There's a fire coming. It's going to burn my house.
I mentioned something? You're talking about fires. Where's the chimneys?
Yep.
Where are the chimneys?
They cook their food outside.
Well,
there is none.
How'd they stay warm in the wintertime? I mean, I'm just saying they did all this brickwork. And they knew all of these things. But I'm just pointing out, where are the chimneys?
Yeah. Well, maybe these things are the chimneys. See this little piece here with the pot like and the thing coming? I've never been in one, so I can't really say. I don't know. That's a good question. Good question.
Me, I come up, I observe all kinds of things, or I don't observe anything, and it's like, oh, well, where's that? So, but anyway, we seem to know these people and they seem to know what's going on. Well, but they don't answer the question, how did they not freeze to death in the wintertime? There's no chimneys that are to speak of. Where did they get their wood? How did they stay warm? I'm just, so, but all these archaeologists, I don't hear them talking about that.
Yep. No, I agree. And that's why we're going over a lot of this stuff, is because of the fact that, people talk, the only thing that people want to talk about is the Hopi and their Kachinas and their Hopi prophecy. But they're more than that. Here's a few names of famous chiefs of the Hopi. Chief Dan and Chief Tuba. The Hopi tribe are famous for their beliefs that encompass Kachina dolls and the Hopi prophecy. But that's not who all they are. Fun facts. let's see, what was the lifestyle and culture of the Hopi tribe? The Hopi tribe were villagers and farmers. Their villages were located on lofty plateaus in northern Arizona. The Hopi tribe have kept their culture intact due to living in such isolated areas. Did you know that most of these Hopi Indians living out there don't even have electricity nowadays? They don't have any of that stuff. They literally live on these reservations with no electricity, no nothing in their, pretty much their native ways.
Yeah, and no running water.
Yeah, each Hopi village was divided into clans that is governed by a chief who is also the spiritual leader of the village. The Hopis became noted as stock breeders and skilled weavers, potters, and silversmiths. What did the Hopi tribe live in? The Hopi tribe lived in adobe houses, also known as pueblos, that were suitable for warm, dry climate in which they lived. The adobe or pueblo homes were multi-story houses made of adobe, clay, and straw, baked into hard bricks. The above photograph shows a multi-story house. Okay, yeah. And see, that's the thing is, people don't, here's one. I don't see a chimney. You're right. These windows, there's no smoke coming out of anything. Don't know. They must have added a furnace.
Well, let me add something here. Having been with, traveled around with the powwows and things. Oh, and by the way, next weekend, the first weekend of April, they're having a powwow over in South Georgia, touching Florida, almost to Jacksonville. I can't remember the deadgum name of the place, but just look up powwows for 2025, and it's right there. But anyway, and I don't get paid for that. But I want to go next weekend. So, but anyway,
well, there you go.
Crap, where was I going with that? One of the things that I've learned is that they, native folks, especially like in Peru and down there in Colombia, up in the Andes, there ain't any trees. And so people have learned how to allow their bodies to accommodate, to acclimate to the weather. So at night, all they need is a blanket, They don't, why start a fire? Because that's just a wasted energy. You had to tote it all the way up this mountaintop to get a little bit of warmth out of it. Got no windows in the place. So how warm is that going to get you? So what these people learned was how to live in the weather. I know that sounds stupid, but it's like this time of year right now in my house with the solar house, it's almost too warm, but like tonight I got the little heater on, but I'm to the point where I don't need the heater and I could run around in a short sleeve shirt because I've gotten used to the cold this winter, right? I bet you the same way, right? So, but so the native folk, I saw a descendant of Crazy Horse that I met in Tullahoma, Tennessee, about 2004. And it was cold, it was blizzard, snow and sleet going sideways. And this guy walks up, and he's a descendant of Crazy Horse, and he's got like a long sleeve shirt on, period. And it was open in the front, And I was like, aren't you cold? And he said, well, it's warm here compared to what South Dakota is this time of year. And I went, oh, good point, But that he didn't need a jacket or a coat, and everybody else is walking around bundled up. I mean, it was like 28 degrees, but he was just used to the weather.
Yep. Well, I agree. See, now especially like this Pueblo, this one looks like it has a chimney here, though. See?
Yeah, that one does. Yeah.
Anyway. But you're right. Maybe they didn't really, need the. But you know what these remind me of? I mean, this is an old picture, but I'm thinking that this is totally different building than what the other natives across the whole country did. The other natives didn't build anything that looked like this. This resembles something out of Europe.
Yes.
If I told you this was a mountain village house in Lithuania or in France, you'd be like, okay, right? But that's what I'm saying. This looks so much more modern than what we give them credit for, and they've been doing this for 1,000 years. And so where did they learn all this stuff to build like modern day? Yeah, it does. But even those cliff dwellings are built and in the same manner. I mean, yeah, they got a window here and a door, but they're still using a ladder and 2 stories, and everything looks out of place. Like, why didn't this wall just come straight across? Why does it go up? Why is it, not level? It's built right into the hillside. Why did they do, I could just ask a ton of questions here, but I'm not gonna. Anyway, they're known Indian dance in front of the Hopi House, Grand Canyon National Park, Arizona. And who knows, they probably still do it to this day.
Yep.
This is a Pueblo or Hopi or Anasazi bowl. Love the artwork. That's why I picked it, because I just love the artwork. There's this land out here. This is Hopi land. You probably recognize this from some of the westerns. There's nothing out there. There's really nothing. Big mesas and flat land and not much grass. I mean, it's just crazy. Good horse riding area, though. But anyway, yeah, that's where they made a lot of movies. As you can see, again, from the map, the Hopi land is inside the Navajo reservation, which, is inside, in different, here's the Ute, this is Arizona, Colorado, some of the big towns, Flagstaff over here, everything's alongside it. There's not much inside here. This area is pretty empty for being the United States. There's nothing here. This is big empty land with not many people living on it. Of course, there's not much there for them to live with. So, like I said, right. This is an old picture, but you have to, if you got stuff out there, you either have to grow it or you have to truck it in.
Or steal it.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the Four Corners region. I don't know if any of you been to the Four Corners, but I have not. I'd like to go there someday. They say this is a good, safe place. You got the Grand Canyon not far away. Albuquerque. This is where the Pueblos, all the, if you want to go see Western stuff, go out to the Four Corners. You'll see those rock paintings out there somewhere. Pueblo Indians are Native Americans. It's just a different, it's the same culture as all these. They're known for their agriculture again. They're Pueblos, which were named by the Spanish, because of the buildings. The ancestral or Anasazi. I'm just hashing some of this over. Today, modern Pueblo people live in 19 Pueblos in New Mexico and 1 in Arizona, the Hopi, and are considered sovereign nations. Farming is corn, beans, and squash. They make pottery and weave basketry. Their influence was Spanish explorers who named villages Pueblo, meaning a village in Spanish. That's where they get the name. The Pueblo people included tribes like the Hopi, Zuni, Ocoma, and the Laguna. Language, the Pueblo people speak a variety of languages, including Tantahuan, I'm mispronouncing some of these, Tanawan, Irkansan, Hopi, and Zuni. The term Anasazi is a Navajo word meaning ancient people or enemy ancestors. Now, why would they name it enemy ancestors? You know, that's a good one. I mean, if these people, the Pueblo people, the Hopi, the Zuni, all of them are descendants of these people, why would these people be the enemy ancestors? Good question, right? Anyway, never blah blah blah. So we're gonna skip to go to the next one. Let's see what else. Okay, here's the Hopi corn story. Central to their culture and identity, tells of a time when the guardian spirit Manasaw offered the Hopi clans gifts, including a small ear of blue corn, a gourd of water, and a planting stick, guiding them on a migration and teaching them to cultivate corn and live in harmony with nature. Again, an extraterrestrial deity came and gave them the corn, just like all the other ones, Hiawatha and so forth and so on. Hopi origin stories recount that the Hopi people emerged from the underworld and met Manasaw, also known as Masu, the guardian spirit, who gave them gifts to help them thrive in the fourth world, which we are in now, the fourth world. Among these gifts were the gourd of water and the planting stick, the blue corn, which became a foundation of their way of life. They, guided by Manasaw, the clans embarked on an extended migration, learning to cultivate corn and embracing a way of life. See, this is when they said they embarked on an extended migration. That's why everybody says, oh, they came up from the Aztecs. They came up from South America. You never know. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they came from north. We don't know. Thousands of years ago, there's no record. Symbolism of corn. Corn is not just a food source of the Hopi. It is a sacred symbol representing substance, ceremonial objects, prayer offerings, and sentient being unto itself. The Hopi corn colors. This is where the corn. Many colors bred into Hopi corn are associated with directions across the landscape. Yellow is north, white is east, red is south, blue is west, while purple signifies above and sweet corn below. Corn in daily life. An ear of corn is placed with a newborn baby, symbolizing a spiritual relationship with the earth, and one is given to each child at the time of initiation. Corn mothers. A special ear of white corn with 4 kernels at its tip, called corn mothers, is used in baby naming ceremonies to symbolize a spiritual connection to earth and Hopi corn. Climate change in the future. Climate change, particularly drought, poses a significant threat to the Hopi's ability to grow corn and maintain their traditional way of life. Of course, gotta have water for everything. The Hopi rely on rain to grow the corn, carrying in the ancient traditions of dry farming in the desert valleys. Yes, they use the rivers to irrigate. What did the women wear? The women wore knee-length cotton dresses called mantas, which were fastened at the woman's right shoulder, leaving her left shoulder bare. Early women's clothes included a dark blue woolen blanket fastened above the right shoulder and embroidered belt at the waist. The girls, their womanhood, their hair was dressed in 2 large whorls at the side and the head, like a big squash blossom. How about that? They do adornments with turquoise jewelry. We already talked about the chiefs, Dan and Chief Tuba. And who were their enemies? Although a peace-loving nation, the Hopi was subjected to frequent raids by the Navajo tribe and occasionally the Apache. The encroachment by the Spanish came in 1540 with the expedition of Francisco Valquez de Colorado. The native Indians were subdued but they shared in the successful revolt of 1542. Took them 2 years to revolt, though. but were again defeated in 1586, and in 1629 the Spanish began to establish missions at Hopi Pueblos. The Atawami and the Ordobi were all later destroyed in the Pueblo Revolt of 1680. We'll have to look that one up next week, and was located in New Mexico and Arizona. This was an initial great victory for the Pueblo Alliance that consisted of Pueblo, Hopi, Zuni tribes, but the Spanish reconquered the lands in 1692. So there you go, people. It was a battle, and when the terms were more equal back then, the battles were more equal, considering that these people, were basically fighting with stone tools, bows and arrows, and the Spanish didn't have that great of guns at that point. It would have been, pretty well matched. But as technology kept going, the Spanish gained greater things, cannons, better weapons, armor. The natives didn't have any of that, so easily defeated. So there you go. So with that, it's all up to you now. We're going to be on this. We'll continue on with some of this next week. But don't forget, Hopi Prophecy Sunday night, where we will be talking about the Rock. And the next, since we're in the 4th, will we make it to the 5th, or will we be destroyed? Check us out, me and Nina on Sunday night. So there you go.
And will we really know until we get there?
I don't know.
Well, we can. Everything is we can speculate, but we won't know till we get there.
Well, this is so true. Yeah. Let me get this pulled.
That's one thing I've learned in my 72 years. You can anticipate and imagine what it's going to be like. And sometimes you imagine it's going to be horrible and it turns out great. And sometimes you think, wow, this is going to be better than, smoked salmon, and you hate it.
This is absolutely right.
So, but anyway, and of course, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So what looks nice to me may not look good to other folk, I'd be happy out there in the wilderness, and somebody else would be going, I can't believe it. There's nothing out here. And I'd go, yeah, buddy, So, but anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about, because I'd be the same way. I'm just happier than heck when there's nobody around and I'm all by myself. And the more I'm by myself, the more I like being by myself. Sometimes I think I'm turning into a recluse or a hermit, considering back in the day I was a social butterfly and I was an activities director, and I was they shone the spotlight on me. I was the guy out there. I was a class clown. I was all getting the attention and doing the stuff. Now, man, I just crawl in my hole, and I'm so happy that there's nobody around for miles and miles.
Yeah,
go figure.
Yep, and I used to travel around and do puppet shows and and give stories and all that. But yeah. So, and now I'm not necessarily stuck here, but I am,
Yeah,
Old age is set in.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But I ain't dead yet. And I refuse to give up. So, this evening I didn't have much time to prepare for this because Boss Man hit me with a last minute thing.
Yeah.
And that he said, check out this book and see if we can do a story and legend, since he's talking about the Hopi. And I said, sure. So here we are. And this is sort of a creation story, sort of. in that how things come together and who did what, and anyway. So that's sort of creation. So this is from the book called The Traditions of the Hopi by H.R. Voth. That's Voth. And it's from 1905. The name of the story is called Huring, Wuti, and the Sun. Aiklakasai. A very long time ago, there was nothing here in the world but water. Only way off in the west, where Hurling Wuti lived, there was a small piece of land where she lived. She lived in a hill or a bluff called a Taliskomo. Hurling Wuti owned the moon, the stars, and all the hard substances such as beads and corals and shells, etc. Away in the east lived the sun, painted up very beautifully. The sun was very skillful. One time, Hurling Wuti sent the moon to the sun, throwing him through the intervening space so that he fell down in front of the sun. He told the sun that Hurling Wuti wanted him. Then he arose and passed through the sky back to the west. The sun also rose and followed the moon to the west, to the house of Hurling Wuti. Have you come? The latter said. Yes, I have come. Why do you want me? I have come because you wanted me. Thanks, the Hurling Wuti said. Thanks that you have come, my father, because you shall be my father. Yes, the sun said. And you shall be my mother, and we shall own all things together. Yes, Hurling Wuti said. Now let us create something for you. All right, thank you, the sun replied. Hereupon they entered another chamber, which was very beautiful, and there all kinds of the skins of different kinds of animals and birds were hanging. So Hurling Wuti got out a bundle and placed it on the floor. It was a large piece of old native cloth, mokapu. She then placed on the floor all kinds of bird skins and feathers. Hereupon she rubbed her body and arms, rubbing off a great many small scales from her cuticle. These she took into her hands, rubbing the two palms of her hands together, and then placing these small scales on the feathers and skins. Hereupon she covered the whole with the mochaku. The sun kindled a little fire at the east side of the pile. Hurling Wuti then took a hold of two corners of the cloth and began to sing, moving the corners to the time of her singing. The sun took hold of the other two corners and also waved them, but he did not sing. After they had waved the corners 4 times, the things under the covering commenced to move, and soon they began to emit sounds, whistling and chirping the way different birds are done. Whereupon Hurling Wuti took off the covering, saying, "We are done. Be it this way." There were all different kinds of birds, those that fly around in the summer when it is warm. As she took off the covering, the birds commenced to fly, passed through the opening and flew out into the air. But soon all returned, gathering again in front of the two. You shall own these, Huring-Wuti said to the sun. They are yours. Thanks, the sun replied, that they are mine. Huring-Wuti then handed to the sun a large jar made of a light transparent material like quartz crystal. Into this the sun placed all the birds, closing up the jar. Whereupon the sun said, Now let us create something for you too. Very well, Huring-Wuti said. Then the sun placed a small quantity of different kinds of hair on the floor. Furthermore, a little quantity of the different kinds of paints that he was painted up with. He then let his beard, his rays, drop upon these objects, also shook his wings towards them. Then they covered up the things again. Each took hold of the two corners of the covering, and the sun then sang a song. Soon something began to move under the covering, and when they removed the latter, an antelope, a deer, a cottontail rabbit, a jackrabbit, and mountain sheep jumped up, and after running around in the large room for a while, they returned and assembled again in front of the two. You take these, you shall own them, the sun said to Huring-Wuti. All right, thank you, the latter said. Whereupon these animals took places close to the Huring-Wuti, whom they considered as their mother afterwards. You shall own these, they shall be yours, the sun said once more to Huring-Wuti, for which she thanked him. The latter then put the sun into an opening in the floor of the house, through which the sun departed with the vessel containing the birds. After having passed through the opening, the sun returned under the earth to the east again. And when he came out, he turned over the land which belonged to Huring-Wuti and which had been under water, and by so doing made the world, to Wakachi, the land. The sun at once noticed a great many things come out of the water and moving about on the shore of the land. He first called them the water lice, but when he had risen to the middle of the sky, he noticed that they were people, and he called them white people. Some Spaniards and others Mormons. He then poured out of the jar all the birds, which then went flying around in the air and increased. From this time on, the sun always went towards the west, entering the house of Huring-Wuti, passing out below and returning to the east again. When he came there this time, Huring-Wuti said, Have you come? Yes, said the sun. Thanks, Huring-Wuti replied. Let us create something again. What have you found out? Yes, the sun said. Land has come out everywhere, and everything is beautiful. And the water is beautiful too. Now, tomorrow, when I shall rise, there will be blossoms and flowers and grass all over the land. Very well, Huring-Wuti said, but let us make something now again. what shall we make? Hereupon she fed the sun some honey and other good food. When the sun was through eating, Wuti again said, well, now what shall we make? Let us use the covering again, placing the same covering that they had used upon the floor. Whereupon Wuti rubbed her legs in feet, rubbing off some more particles of the cuticle. Then she took into her hands, working them into a small ball, which she placed on the floor, and covering it up with mokaku. They then again took hold of the four corners of the covering, Wuti singing a song. Soon something moved under the covering, and the crying of a little child was heard, which soon said, I am hot, I am perspiring. They uncovered it and found a little maiden. Oh my, Wuti said. Only one has been created. That is not good. It must not be this way. Whereupon she put on the covering again and then repeated the song. Soon a second voice was heard, and removing the covering, they found a little boy, the little brother of the Mana. His first sound was a groan, as that of a small child. Hereupon he also said, I am very warm, and wiped off the perspiration from his face and body. Have you come? Wuti said. Yes, I have come. Thanks, she replied. They were brother and sister, so the children sat up. Have you anything to say? Wuti asked them. Yes, they said. Why do you want us? Yes, Wuti replied. Why, my father, the sun, has made a beautiful earth, and I want you to live on this earth. That is why I want you. So I want you to go eastward now, and wherever you find a good piece of land, there you settle down. By and by others, too, shall come to you. Before they started, the sun asked Wuti who these two were, how they should be called. And Wuti named the youth Muingwa and the maiden Yahoya, whereupon the two started and left. The sun and Wuti prepared to create some more. It was at this time still night. Wuti now rubbed her abdomen with both hands and took from her umbilicus a small quantity of the scales, which she twisted together. All this scaly matter was rubbed from her body. She then placed on the floor, covering it up with the aforesaid cloth. They again took hold of the corners, sang over it, and as they lifted up the corners the fourth time, something began to move under the covering. They took the covering off, and there was another being, all in perspiration. It was again a maiden. She wiped off the perspiration from her body with some sand that was on the floor and sat up. Wuti told her not to rub her body anymore, as the sand had already adhered to her body and the latter was dry. She hereupon told the maiden that she should be called Sand Clan member Tuawongawa and Lizard Clan member Kuktazwurongwa. Wuti, whereupon sent the maiden off after the other two, giving her, however, 1 grain of shelled corn before she left. By this time it became a little lighter, and the sun said to Huring-Wuti she should hurry up. So the latter this time rubbed her face and the inside of her nose, and from the scales thus rubbed off, she formed a little ball, placed it on the floor, and again covered it. They went through the same process as before. Soon they heard a child crying, like a Hopi child would cry, and another one like the crying of a coyote. Removing the covering, they found a youth and a maiden, both also perspiring profusely and wiping off the perspiration. "Why do you want us?" the children asked. "Yes," Huring-Wuti said, "we have made this beautiful world here, and there is hardly anyone living there yet. And that you should live here somewhere, we wanted you." She then said that the Mana should be a burrowing owl clan, and the youth coyote clan member. Hereupon she gave 1 grain of shelled corn to each one, and told them now to follow the others, and that they should travel quickly. Hereupon they created once more in the same manner as before. When they were ready to lift up the covering, they heard somebody grunt, and another one seemed to be angry. So after they had partly lifted up the covering, they dropped it again. But the two under it said, "Remove that. We are very hot." So they removed it, and there was one child like a Hopi. It was the one that had grunted like a bear. To this one, Huring-Wuti gave the name Bear Clan member. She gave 1 grain of shelled corn to him and sent him on. The other, head with the hair pushed back over it backward, was the Navajo, and to him Huring-Wuti gave a little piece of spoiled meat and sent him on. This is the reason why the Navajo use meat instead of corn like the Hopi. Hereupon the sun again passed through the opening in the floor, returning to the east under the earth. The next day, when he arose again and had traveled a distance, he saw in the distance smoke arising in different places, and noticed that the people who had been created were camping there. As he rose higher, he saw at a distance a maiden and a youth who were traveling along but seemed to be very tired. The maiden would sometimes carry her little brother on her back. Then she would set him down, and the two would join hands and travel along together. When the sun came nearer, he asked them, "Where do you come from? Who are you?" "Yes," they said, "we have come out away off there somewhere." "All right," the sun said, "you travel on." Hereupon he gave them water to drink and a little corn for food. He then said to the youth that he should be called Sun Clan member, and to the maiden he gave the name Forehead Clan member. Whereupon he told them to travel on eastward. The Sun and Forehead clans later became the Shuvaluvi, the Bear Clan to the Shogunopavi, and the Burrowing Owl Clan to the Mishigonovi, while the Sand Clan went to the Walpi. Moyoingwa and his sister settled down somewhere west of Matovi, a large spring situated south of Shangopavi. The end of that story. And the next in line for a story is the coming of the Hopi from the underworld. You'll have to wait till next week to hear that story. So how about them apples? Or oranges or bananas or did we lose our host? So it's interesting from the other creation stories that we've heard from the different tribes. You know how the this story, the Hopi, talks about how the different clans were named. You know, which I don't remember any of the other tribes really naming clans, you know, and how they created the different, the birds and so forth, was interesting, covering them with the cloth and singing and shaking the blanket over them. That's an interesting telling of how, and they didn't necessarily know what they were creating, right? So it wasn't like some of the other stories where I'm going to create a whale, or I'm going to create a bird, or I'm going to create a bear, or so very interesting how this worked out. Am I live by myself? I can't tell. There's nobody else here at the moment. It's hard for me to tell, and I don't know if I'm still live on.
Am I back?
There you are.
Oh, it finally worked. Figured sooner or later it'll come on. Yes,
So
you
you
were
did
on alone.
So you did get
sucked up. Yeah.
Well, I know how to cover. I was fixing to.
Oh, I know.
I'm sitting here with the cards, so I'm just gonna keep doing my job.
Oh yeah. Just keep right on going. Don't you worry about me. I know what I got to do. But yeah, while you're doing that, I got back up, so it was a good thing because the story was good. I was listening on my phone, trying to, in the chat and stuff. But
so did you have to read?
Yeah, it is what it is. Yes.
Darn.
Yes. And my modem overheated. I should have put the black ice on it, but I did not.
Put a bag of peas on it. Frozen peas.
Yeah. Yes, I got a block of one of those blue ice packs right here. I got the blue ice pack.
Yeah, those work good.
That works. Anyway, yes, I am all set now.
All right. Well, I'm shuffling and picking, so y'all out there, if you want a special message, it's time for you to be thinking on it right about now.
Yep. Let's send some good healing energy to Desert Rose. I see she is under the weather. I don't know what's wrong, but Desert Rose. Anyway, I am back. Don't worry, I wasn't going to run away too soon. Let's see. So anyway, thank you all for being here tonight. I'm going to work hard maybe sooner or later before all this Hopi thing is over and try to get me a or get some a guest on. Wouldn't it be nice to have a guest on to talk about some of these signs and things like that? And we'll see what happens. You know, I'm going to work on that. Special deal, you know what I mean? Anyway, Scotty says, I made my card picks. What did you pick? I'm picking deer, badger, even though we had badger last week, bear, and dragonfly. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Well, you got one of them.
There you go.
Dragonfly.
I knew it.
But you was way off on the others. Where did that go?
Okay. How far was I off? Dolphin. No.
It was the only one. You got 1 out of 5. So,
Scotty voices, horse, elk, and penguin. I don't think we have a penguin.
No, we don't.
No penguin.
Then we've got upside down dragonfly.
Yeah.
Right side up bat. Upside down owl. Right side up hawk. And upside down moose. So that's a really interesting spread right there now, I got to say. I think we had bat last time. We haven't had moose in a while. We've had hawk recently, I think. It's been a couple of months since we've had owl. And I know dragonfly has showed up. So it's not totally... what am I trying to say? I'm looking for my book. I spilled coffee all over my book and soaked it earlier.
Oh.
And it was an accident for sure, but boy, I soaked it. And I put it over here to dry, so I'm sure the pages are going to be sticking together again. Yeah, this poor old book's beat up, covered up, and now it's got coffee stains on the back end of it. All right, so here's Dragonfly.
That's probably one of the most well-used books, though. I tell you what, you've read a lot out of that book.
Yes, I have. And I'm so glad that, that friend of mine gave it to me. But it took me years to finally open it up and look at the cards and pay attention. But, even though she had sent it to me, it wasn't time until it was time. So, but anyway. So Dragonfly is all about the illusion. And Dragonfly medicine is of the dream time and of the illusionary facade that we accept as our physical reality. Some legends say that Dragonfly was once a dragon, and that dragon had scales like dragonfly's wings. Dragonfly is the essence of the winds of change, the messages of wisdom and enlightenment, and the communications from the elemental world. Now, upside down, are you trying to prove to yourself or someone else that you have power? Are you caught in an illusion that weakens your true feelings or minimizes your abilities? Look within and feel the sense of self-energy within yourself. Notice if it is ebbing. And find the point in time where you were deluded into believing that you would be happier because somebody else wanted you to change. Follow Dragonfly to the place inside your body where magic is still alive, and drink deeply of the power. It's your power. It's your strength. It is the power of becoming the illusion. Now, number 42 is Bat. Now, Bat is about rebirth, if I can remember correctly about it. Rebirth, right? Yay, I was right. After all this time, I should get one of them right every once in a while. So this is upright. So that embraces the idea of a shamanistic death. The ritual death of the healer is steeped in secrets and highly involved initiation rites. Now, but you don't have to have any special initiation rites to go within, which is what Dragonfly is saying. You need to go in there and have a little chat with self. And Bat's kind of reinforcing that, in that, you have to, go through that shamanistic death. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that you do some meditating and you go inside and think about stuff and what your place is, and you start all over again with your thinking processes, and imagine yourself being reborn. That is the rebirth, right? And you're asking Dragonfly for help in that process. So the basic idea of ancient initiations was to break down all the former notions of self that were held by the shaman to be. So what you need to do is stop thinking about who you are, what you are, and just let it be. And let the universe talk to you a little bit and follow that Dragonfly. Now, next one up is Owl Upside Down, number 21. Wait, keep on going. Oops. One more page. Owl is deception, and it's upside down. Owl medicine is symbolically associated with clairvoyance, astral projection, and different types of magic. It is at any wonder that in many cultures, the owl is the symbol for wisdom. This is because owl can see that which others cannot, which is the essence of true wisdom. While others are deceived, owl sees and knows what is there. Now, owl's upside down here. So if you have owl upside down in your cards, you have been greatly deceived by either yourself or another. Now, see, the cards are saying, go into the illusion and get reborn. But be careful to not be deceived, is how I am looking at these right now. The message is to befriend the darkness inside yourself. Well, there's Bat, right? Reborn. There's the illusion with Dragonfly. It's pretty interesting. Then ask yourself, what are you in the dark about? How and by whom are you being deceived? Have you lied to yourself? Self-deception. Owl tells you to keep an eye on your property and your loved ones. Remember that owl is always asking who or whom, depending on where your owls are from. Now, the next one up is Hawk straight up. It's number 2 in the book. God, this, oh man, there's coffee all over these pages. Lord have mercy. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Hawk's in the upright position. Hawk is akin to Mercury, the messenger of the gods. Hawk medicine teaches you to be observant, to look at your surroundings and observe the obvious in everything that you do. Life is sending you signals. So here we go. Dragonflies, like, need to go into the the um the void. Bat saying, hey, get reborn with the information you find. Owls saying, be careful and don't get deceived. And that Hawk is trying to tell you to be observant. That's some easy, good medicine. What is called for here is the intuitive ability to discern a message that carries with the cry of a hawk. If Hawk were to magically cry, it was a sign to beware or to be aware. So the big message with Hawk is, especially after these cards, is pay attention to what's around you. After you had a little, introspection, and the last card up is Moose upside down. Oh, that's an interesting way to wrap these set of cards up. Moose is self-esteem. Moose is found in the north of the medicine wheel, as is the buffalo. North represents the place of wisdom. Didn't we just get wisdom with owl? Interesting. Moose, because it represents the power of recognizing that wisdom has been used in a situation and that recognition or a pat on the back is deserved. The wisdom woven throughout these scenarios is that creation constantly brings forth new ideas and further creation. So Bat's telling you to go inside, Dragonfly saying go visit the mystery, and owls don't be deceived, and Hawks be aware, and Moose is telling you that that wisdom is woven throughout the creation scenario, because creation brings forth more creation. If Moose is upside down when you draw it, you are being reminded that ego can ruin your sense of accomplishment. Remember that others have the same potential that you have, and do not become careless in your appreciation of their gifts. Reverse Moose implies that in tooting your own horn, you have failed to be interested in others and have therefore forgotten that everyone teaches everyone else in some way. Contrary, Moose medicine may be asking you to grow quietly for a while. This is the core of Moose medicine, knowing the wisdom of silence, so that you know when it is proper to speak, and then you can take on the pride of your words. Now that's just an interesting set of cards right there. So you need to go into the illusion and be reborn without being deceived. And with, the owl and the hawk is interesting side by side. don't be deceived and be observant. It's like, pay attention. And, and then Moose is saying, don't let your ego get in the way. In other words, oh, look how good I am. See, I told you I was right. And when they wag their finger at you, yeah, be careful. Don't do that. Anyway, so how about them cards?
Good cards.
An interesting set this weekend. This
week, yes.
this Tuesday. Golly. I'm so mad because I poured coffee all over this. It was an accident, I swear.
It was an accident. Things happen. So, yeah. Awesome cards. There you go. Awesome cards. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Yeah. But all good. Sorry about the computer problems tonight, but you winged it and carried me through. We always manage.
Yep, we always manage at some point, right?
Keep the show going. Yes. But want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Give a big shout out to everybody who was here. Big Dad standing tall. Thank you for showing up tonight and joining us. Scotty Boy, Seeker of Truth 2. Thank you. Joanne Dancing Gypsy. Kaloli is in the house. Pod Joe, Elderberry, F Kitty, Nina the Mystic. Don't forget to join me on Sunday night with her as we go through the Hopi Kachina prophecy, and it's very interesting. We will be back next week with more Hopi, Navajo, all that good stuff. Learning about them. There's so much to learn about them, and we're going to dive deep into it all.
And the story is about the Hopi creation story, so you can look forward to that too.
That's right. There's a bunch of them out there, but you're only going to get one told by our own Hawkeye Two Feathers.
And this story is from a publication from 1905. So it's not a reprinting of something that was the person telling the writer, this is the story. And he wrote it down in 1905. Right. So anything after that, people can add, subtract, or not tell the whole story. You know what I mean? So, but I got to say that I love the fact that we're able to read from old books, old stories before they've had people have had a chance. A lot of times folks just leave stuff out, and that's not really important, and they want to make the story shorter, and they leave stuff out. But anyway.
Yep. Susie Q's in the house. Lucky Stone, he's been listening the whole time. Anyway, yeah, that's the thing. You know me, I like old books. The older, the better, because, I swear they've changed history. And I do believe a lot of that. Like you said, today, we're just going to make it fit, It doesn't make much sense. It's not all worded correctly. So, but, you start changing a few words here and there, and the next thing you know, the story changes its meaning. It's not the same. It was told for a reason the way it's told, right?
Supposed to be, yep.
So, anyway, okay, everyone. Go out. Don't forget to join us up here next week. Probably on Saturday. We're going to have a show for you Saturday. I don't have to work, so we will have a great show. I don't even know what it's going to be about yet. So anyway, we'll be back then. Of course, me and you will be back next week on Tuesday night for this great show, because this is the best show I got. There's just so much to do out there. Spring is a coming. Go out and plant some seeds. Go out and find yourself some Anasazi beans. Look up the recipe. Make yourself something with the Anasazi and, the Hopi, and, get some of them good Indian recipes because they're out there. I didn't even know they were. So that's what I'm going to do. That's this week's project. See what they're making. I'm sure.
And remember, beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So let's have beans at every meal.
I love it. Oh, yeah.
That's an oldie goldie.
Yes.
But anyway, and I want to thank you all. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive all the blessings and rewards from the Creator and from the universe. And as always, thank you, Robert, for having me back.
Oh, yeah. Susie Hughes says, are you going to have a show tonight?
We'll see. I'm still having problems with YouTube, so it depends on YouTube.
Okay. All righty. Everybody just tune in, get yourself a cup of coffee, and stay up a little longer, and you'll probably be back. But other than that, yep. Okay. Well, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, so that's perfect, right on time.
Yep.
With that, everybody have a great evening. Pa Joseph, yep. Good evening, all. Yes. And to all, a good night. Thank you, everybody. Go out and do something nice for somebody else as spring comes along. Go out and plant some seeds. Go out and do something nice for your neighbor. Nothing else. Go out and enjoy the sunshine for yourself. And with that, remember, be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love you all. Peace, everybody.
Cheers.